All right. Welcome aboard, ladies and gents. It is June the 1st, 2020, 6/1. There has been a lot going on this year, folks. This is a year to remember. Who is George Floyd? Who is it? At this point, I think kind of everybody in the entire world knows that name by now. And there's some things we need to talk about here tonight. Let me turn this down just a little bit. Hopefully you guys can hear me all right. Let me know if that mic is all right. Before we get into some of the great stuff here tonight, let's talk about some of the things that are putting the world into turmoil right now. Why the VIX level is so high. Why we are able to take advantage of some of these huge moves in the market today. The stuff that's going on in the world right now is you know, a little bit insane. We've got absolute insanity going on around the world. Somebody died, and everybody was up in arms at all of this. And I don't think there's one person, I haven't seen not one person who thinks that that person's life was removed and was it justified. I don't think that one person thinks that the person who committed the atrocity was justified. We are all grieving over one man who lost his life in a way that he should have never had to lose it. And now we have people rioting in the streets, stealing, killing other people. I mean, there are people, I don't know how many people have died at this point, I can't give actual numbers, but I feel like tonight is a night where we kind of need to talk about a few things like that, things that matter. You know, a lot of what we do as day traders, sometimes you have to ask yourself, like, what are we doing this for, right? If we're here to make money, what are we doing with that money? Where are we applying our time that we gain from using the dollars that we get to put the food on the table, to take care of the people that are under our roofs? What are we doing with that? This stuff is sick. We've got people who literally want to do harm. There are people who are actively seeking to hurt other people. There is a battle of good and evil going on today. Does everybody recognize that? If you recognize that there is a battle in the world right now, literally of good versus evil going on, type me a 1. If you don't get that, type me a 2. And I believe that almost everyone, if you really think about it, that this is not a Republican versus Democrat. This is not a one philosophy versus another philosophy thing that's been going on. I think we realize that there is much more than meets the eye. Like this guy, how do you have that much hatred in you? How can you ignore what you're doing to another human being? Who are you? What are you doing? You understand what I'm saying? What are you doing, man? You are controlled by evil. Whatever your decisions are, you know, here's a message. You know, his wife left him. Well, you know, probably a good idea. You know, you've got some mental disorder. You got people trying to look. This is what is that? A Prius? You got people wanting to stop people driving around in a Prius. Why? Because somebody that none of these people know. None of these people know him. Okay, none of these people know Mr. Floyd. No, none of them. Okay? But this is what they're willing to do. I have a point with all this. Hang with me. Okay? Watch this guy. Smack. I'm just going to punch somebody, right? Because what? You disagree with them? Oh, I know what. I want to break into your store. Let me take this board right here and start smashing through your windows and doors. Doesn't matter if you're young, you're old, ladies, gents, doesn't matter. This guy died on the ground in Dallas, right here. Why? Because somebody else died? I don't think so. I don't think that's what this is. All right, I know what. Let's kick this guy in the face. He's completely knocked out. I know what we'll do. Let's kick his teeth in. Great idea. This makes me sick. I watched this stuff all weekend, and it's been on my mind. I have to release what's inside of me right now. And I think you guys probably feel some of this too, right? But there needs to be some purpose, right? You got jackasses like this guy telling people, I know what to do, folks. Here's what we're going to do. Go over here, grab this picnic table, grab these bricks over here. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to loot and steal from the people who have put in time, effort, and whatnot. Why? Well, they're going to justify it under the name of good, but it is actually evil. That's the dangerous part. This is one of the most dangerous parts, is that these people that are evil are hiding under the guise of good, because it would be good to remember Mr. Floyd. It would be good to have remembrance of Mr. Floyd. And for the jack turd, I'm not even going to say his name, who did the act. Again, this is not the police. The police did not do this. One individual jackass did this. Okay? But it was evil that guided him to do that. It was by his choice. You understand what I'm saying? One person. But let's get to the point here with all this. All of these acts, because one person died. Look at this. Oh, this makes a whole lot of sense. I know what. I'm gonna break into this lady's car. Okay? Now, if you're in Texas and you do that, these people, look, you do this in Texas, you're dead. All right? I'm just saying. Pat, 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 pat. That's all you'll hear. Okay? Why we need a Second Amendment? I mean, nobody's going to talk about the gun stuff anymore, I'm pretty sure. At this point, yeah, you need to be able to handle multiple assailants. We'll just get on past that. I do want one of these. What, bulletproof trucks getting created in 2020? Thanks, Elon. Elon's probably been the most productive man of the year. Kudos to him. The same day that we decide we're going to go riot and break the world down, we send 2 men into outer space to go to the space station on this amazing, like, returnable engine system that somebody designed and thought through. He also designed us this vehicle that I want, and it's pretty cool. All right, I'll take one. You've got supposedly good chiefs and captains who have nothing but evil inside of them, disguised as good. Oh, we don't want to put our men and women in blue in harm's way to protect anyone else or their property, so we're not going to send the police in. That was this lady's message today. Well then, so folks, you're on your own, really? Okay, look, nobody's doing their job. My question to people who are here tonight, are we going to do our jobs? Are we going to do our jobs, and are we going to do them well? Here's a neighborhood having to, look, you got people stood up in the neighborhoods. Why? Because Antifa said, we're going to go out in the suburbs and start taking people's stuff. So you got people standing out now on neighborhood watches, right? We've got one in our neighborhood. Stupid. The fact that we have to do this? Why? Because one man died? Because one man died. Now, I'm not trying to negate that, but I have a point here. We're going to get to this full point. You got liars. Crappy news network. All over the place. I've got so many of these. It's insane. Dr. I lie a lot. I got little man syndrome. Got to tell people what to do. Gotta try to control everything that's going on. Here's a smash in markets. Why do we care? What are we gonna do if we smash markets? If we're smashing markets, then what are we gonna do? Is there something more than that? Yeah. That's my point here tonight. There's more to what we're doing here than just playing video games and taking home cash, although we're very good at doing that. There's a passage of scripture that says, whatsoever thy hand findeth to do, do it with thy might. Okay? We're not doing things, we're not coming here to lose. Okay? Go to win. All right? But make sure you're playing the right side, because we're going to talk about that tonight. Whose side are you on? Recently, I have been backstabbed once again by a person named Mish. Anybody know that name? If you know who Mish is, type a 1. She's got me blocked right now, so I have to go into some kind of incognito mode to go see it. But if you guys want to go see Mish's little thing, I always wondered why she wasn't as active and whatnot. Anyway, she's shilling for some other group. So, you know, look, you can take the person out of the trailer, but you can't take the trailer out of the person. You understand what I'm saying? Anyhow, backstab once again. Evil is everywhere. We're gonna spend money even though we have no time. We smash up the cities. Exactly, right? You know, what's the point? When we're just blowing stuff up, what's the point? What's the point? Right? But you know, you ever get to that point where you're kind of like, are there any good people left? Right? I'm hoping that we get some people motivated, maybe even starting tonight, that we get some good crew starting up tonight. The Twitter handle, mishtix888. There you go. You guys can go say hello to her. Oh, I'm blocked now. Those of you guys who know, the history of Mish having come with us last year. My family was attacked last year in a extremely vicious way. Now, I gave her credit because at the time it seemed like she was, coming to help out. She's got a following on Twitter and whatnot. The people who are attacking me, doxing my family. You know what? There's a scary story out here actually on Twitter of someone who was doxed and people were shooting up her house. Where is her story at? See if I can find it quick. If I can't find it, I'll skip on. But people last year said, Vinny, what's the big deal about people doxing your family and doxing your house? The point and the purpose of people doxing your home and your house is so that they can come and do harm to the people and those you love. Not me. Do you think you're really going to hurt me? Get out of here. Get out of here. Seriously. All right, I'm not here to toot my own horn, but really, come on. I'll break you with the left hand. It's not even my good one. Now, I'm not here to be all braggadocious or whatever, but you know what? I've got people under my wing who I can't protect 24/7, but these people will go out there and dox your family so that at moments like this, when the riots break out and the police aren't looking, they can come and sneak you like little turds, right? But anyhow, that happened last year, literally a year to the date, which is why I'm kind of deciding like this is the moment, right? I really didn't prepare this tonight, okay? There's really nothing specifically prepared. I do have a message of what and where we're going with this, but tonight, there's something big beginning. We are releasing NinjaTrader 8 this week. Beta version is coming out. What we do in Press Forward this year is going to be absolutely amazing. No one's ever seen from a trading room what we are going to be able to do as we press forward this year. And I'm so glad to have this crew behind me. We have so many good people in here. And every once in a while we get some bad seeds, right? We get some bad ones in here. We got AK, the poor guy, can't get out of his own way. Honestly, I feel sorry for the guy, right? We've had others. Attachino, rest in pieces. Macro Hedge, all those little turds, Mike Smith, all these little shillbaits, right? So trading is the same discipline needed to live correctly. Do we need bots to help us live? No. At the end of the day, we have built a decision tree, by the way. You know what's interesting about that? You have a good point there, Mr. B. We've built a decision tree that allows us to stay on a narrow path, that allows us to stay within certain parameters and rules. And if you stay on that path, guess what happens? Beautiful, beautiful things. But you know what's crazy is? It's a very narrow path. There's a passage that says, broad is the way and easy is the way which leads to destruction, and many go in by it. But narrow and difficult is the way which leads to life, and there are few who find it. The reason that we're able to trade against other trade rooms and smash them is because they are on a broad path that's going to lead in trading to destruction. But in that, we are looking for this narrow path in which there is life and light in what we do. We have to press forward and do that, right? I am challenging everyone in this crew this year to think about from here on forward. And look, I mess up all the time. I am such a terrible freaking person. If you go back and look at some of the history of the chats that I've had in a room, I am not very patient. I try to be, I work on it. I'm not good at it. I feel like I could say I've got excuses, like I have had it up to here. If y'all watch my videos back from like 4 years ago, I used to be such a nice guy. Nice, considerate, patient person. I feel like, I don't know. You guys could probably go tell the difference between the videos back then and the videos now. But I have been through so many battles in the last few years. But now I feel like all of those matter. I'm thankful for them. I'm not going to cry about them. Some of them still make me a bit angry, right? I've been within, it's a year out that Macro Hedge and Mike Smith and the turds that attacked my family, all because they lost the contest, right? That whole thing, that's coming to fruition. We will just put out the truth. I'm not going to do what they did to me back to them. I don't play that way. But we are going to disseminate the truth, and the truth will set you free. Right? Thanks, man. So, here's something about Mr. Floyd. So we're talking about one man who died. Now, there's a lot of conversation and debate. You know, it's neat. I feel like all this, I knew I had a sign here tonight. Mr. B, I think really kind of, you've been guided here through alternative means, my friend. Mr. B, it's a little bit interesting the way that you came to us. But tonight, Mr. B started to say a few of the things in our room that brought up the conversation around God. God, what is God? Who is God? Is there a God? Why are we here? Why do we exist? What is our purpose? What is our meaning? Some people are young and maybe they've never asked themselves that question, right? When I was young, I probably maybe didn't ask myself that question. There came a time in my life where I decided I wanted to know, why are we here? What am I doing here? What is the purpose? And why does it matter what we do here? Why does it matter? What's up with this moral compass, right? If everything is just dust to dust, then why on earth does it matter what we do? Right? I ask myself that question. I'm a very logical person, so I'm going to logically speak to everyone here tonight, and I want you to hear me out. That's all I'm asking. There's one video, and if you never watch another video again, I want you to hear this video and listen to it. From Tom. Awesome. Yeah, but the fact that you asked that question tonight, because I had this feeling on my heart. After everything that went on this weekend, I could not pull my eyes away from the television and Twitter, watching this stuff unravel online with people, the stuff that people are capable of doing to each other. Holy shnikes. And the fact that some of these people are laughing about it. I can't get my head around that. I'm a person, I get nauseous at the sign of someone else's blood or being hurt. Like, I have a hypersensitivity to feeling the feelings of others. I know what they feel. Maybe it makes what makes me partly a good trader. I can anticipate what other people are feeling and thinking at certain windows. Right? But watching this stuff, I mean, I just started retweeting everything because I want to remember this moment, because I don't think, and I hope we never have this type of moment again. But if you go down my Twitter feed, go down there and try to get yourself to watch these clips. Okay, of the stuff that's out there. And this is the stuff that's on the ground, not the stuff that CNN, Crap News Network is telling you, not Fox News that they try to get in as much as they can, but they could not see all the stuff that was going on the ground, from the photos and the videos of stuff that you're seeing with cops fighting, with everybody just being absolutely insane. But I want to get to some answers for some stuff. I want to talk about the whys. Why we do this. I was born in December. I'm a Capricorn. But yes, the stars, by the way, mean things, right? Let's talk about Christians here for a minute, all right? I consider myself a Christian, okay? I found the answer, and I know the answer, but I want to see if you want to just listen to my logic as to where and how I came up with this solution here tonight. Bear with me, and then please bring up the debate if you will, but know that what I am giving to you is from my heart, but it's also from my mind, because I know that there are a lot of people who preach from the heart, okay? There are a lot of people who, in the pews, they're preaching to your heart. I am a brain person. I am a mental wart, if you will. And I had to know the answer from a logistical, analytical standpoint to know why on earth we are here on earth. All right, lots of BS in the world, praying for healing, absolutely. There are spiritual things going on. But I want to get back to what I discovered and found, and why. I'm going to tell you guys why I believe, and not because I grew up this way, not because mommy and daddy drugged me to church. I had a drug problem. You know what my drug problem was? I was dragged to church every Sunday. 9 months before I was born, okay? That was me, okay? But I needed to know the truth, and I wanted to understand why. It had to also make sense. If God was so smart, then I needed to know how, why, when, where, and what. So I'm going to lay out what I found. Are you guys okay with hearing me out just a little bit here tonight? Because I want to tell you something else. Our trading plans actually come out of the greatest book ever written. Out of the Bible itself, from Ecclesiastes 11. If you guys have never read this passage, I will say that everything starts right here. And look, if you're just interested in the trading part, fantastic. You want to know where? where the trading plan that we have comes from, let's just go 1 through 11. Okay? All ones. All right? But I want to explain why. All right? I need you guys to hear why. All right? This matters? Okay, good. I want you guys to feel it here tonight. Now, we're going to come back the rest of the weeks. This is not going to be a preach every week from here on forward, but there are going to be times when I want, this is like the message part 1, because I've got some stuff that will take you some hours to digest. However, I'm going to compact some things here tonight and unravel some things. All right, but I'll tell you, the greatest trading plan on the planet is actually in the same book that I'm going to reveal to you how and why and where we came from and why I believe we are here through the information that I have. And please, I would love for some other people, you want to hand it out to me, feel free. But I am going to deliver you the message from this same book, from the beginning of the ways that I promised. I don't care if you've been in church your entire life. What I'm about to tell you here tonight, a lot of it is in some contradiction to what you've been preached from the pulpit, believe it or not. Ooh, holy shnikes. Listen, most of the guys who are up there preaching and teaching, they know milk duds, right? They know milk level stuff. In the same way that I think you guys know in my trading, I am like beyond level of normal traders, okay? I'm going to say, look, I spent, and if you're like, well, you know, Vinny, yeah, but you didn't really study the Bible. Yeah, I did. I spent 12 years of my life in the Bible, and 4 of those specifically devoted into deep diving into it as well as the Muslim faith. That's my background in history, okay? But so just, I'm not trying to throw out my credentials and be like, look at me, what I know, but if you're going to go, like, where did he get all this from, okay? I did my homework. It was there. Okay, so here we go. Are you ready? Let's get to the fun part. The fun part is this. Let's see. Pop quiz time. Who knows what the first book of the Bible is? Pop quiz time. The reason this matters is because everybody thinks this is where it all begins. Okay, in the first book, which is what? Pop quiz. I know somebody's going to get this answer correct. What is it? Are you ready? What's the first book? I know there's a delay in the room, so it'll take you a minute, but I'm certain somebody's going to come up with this. What is it? Genesis, there it is. You guys know it, okay? Genesis means the beginning, okay? Now, this is what's interesting. I'm going to tell you something about the Bible. The Bible is actually for multiple types of people. It's for shallow people. It's for deep, middle level people. It's for deep people. And it is for super deep people. And there are things specifically designed inside of the Bible that are so hidden. It says that there are mysteries. Whenever you hear this term in the Bible, mysteries, the mysteries are what I am interested in, folks. Because I feel like everybody already knows the rest. Okay, this was my fascination. This was what God guided me to unravel in my quest for the truth. Because all I care about is the truth. You guys kind of figured that out by now, right? Like, I don't care what we're doing as long as we're seeking truth, right? You know that. Even when I'm trolling scammers and whatnot, I just want them, we're looking for truth, okay? The mysteries. The mysteries are the real interesting stuff. This is the stuff that people cannot figure out, but it is there. It is there, and I'm going to show you guys some things. Why does it start here in the Bible? Because we want to know one question. Why are we here? Why? Why? I'm going to tell you why here tonight in a way that I don't think many of you have ever heard. And now, if I actually want to know if some people have heard this, why we're here, part of what I'm about to tell you here tonight, I actually want to know. I want to hear, because I feel like God has probably guided some other people here to us, and specifically to me, because I've prayed for it, but that you would be here with me to bring this forward. However, listen to this. I promise you, I do not think that many people will know what I'm about to tell you. This is a mystery, and here we go. So the book of Genesis is the first one, right? But I'm going to tell you about some sequential parts. While Genesis is the beginning of the earth, what about the time before the earth was created? And that brings us to this little gem of a book, Ezekiel. Now, I'm not going to go into all the deep dive tonight. I'm going to give you a high-level view. I'm going to punch in verses, but we will come back later, and I will show them to you later in much detail if you're interested in those. We will do in a separate series, but I just need to let you guys know, everybody who is seeking the truth, I am going to give you the truth tonight. Which way are we coming here to help? I wonder. Ezekiel. The book of Ezekiel talks about a battle. And the reason this matters right now is because I feel like what's going on right now is a battle of good versus evil. And there are two sides. We just talked about it. Stuff that's going on in the world right now. Okay, I think this is apropos. So hang with me while we go to this, all right? In the battle, there are only two sides. It is good and it is evil. Now, people can try to ride the middle. Those are the dangerous ones that try to flip-flop and try to turn and tear. There's some of that. But it's good versus evil, and it is one side versus the other. But all the way back in Ezekiel, this, my friends, I'm going to give you the short answer, is this is where it all began, right here. In Ezekiel. God. Who is God? Now, there's a whole lot about that. You guys can read all about that. Everybody can go and study that up. But I'm going to talk to you about why we're here, why you're here, why you are flesh and blood, but you are also spirit. Okay? In fact, let me ask this. Let me poll the room on how many people believe that you have a spiritual component. All right? Now, I know that some people don't. I think that there are some people who just believe, no, we're dust to dust, flesh and blood, that's it. But if you believe we have a spiritual component, type a 1. If you do not believe we have a spiritual component, type a 2. Because this is what's going to come to the part of what happens when you die. Like Mr. Floyd. What happened to Mr. Floyd? This is why it matters, ladies and gents, because I will not be responsible for having not at least given you the opportunity to know the message. And if you choose, at the end of the day, to go one way or the other, I am fine with that. In fact, the same way that people come into our room all the time, we have the absolute best program on the planet. I know that. I raise my hand and I will tell you that I believe that we are the #1 best performing system on the planet. I have not seen another one better, and I will tell you that. But I do not care if you come here or you do not. If you are smart, I think it would be wise for you to come here. But in the same way, if you choose, it's a beautiful thing. God also gave us this opportunity to decide for ourselves. Okay? Some people meditating on it, thinking about it. Well, I'm going to give you some information tonight for you to meditate on and think about. So God gave us, as humans, this ability to choose on our own. Just as you could come and choose my way, or you can go choose some other ways. It's totally fine, okay? Quite frankly, ours is pretty narrow. I got a set of rules, and you guys know I'll drill you if you don't do it right. Humphrey probably, poor Humphrey. Hey, I'm going to apologize again, Humphrey. You know, I laid into him today. But it's only because I care. All right? Consciousness moves on after death. Okay. So you believe that consciousness, there is a spiritual component. Would you agree that consciousness and spirituality are semi the same? That consciousness is not a physical property of my body, that is a outside of my body process. Therefore, how about I say that there is an outside component? You're calling it consciousness. I will call it a spiritual containment. You understand? Divide by 0. You got that? Consciousness, spirit. Let's put those in the same bin for now. All right? Because I want to talk about what happens when this piece, when you're done, and why it matters. Okay, here we go. In the book of Ezekiel, you were not flesh and blood. Here we go. It's about to get heavy. It's about to get heavy. This is where that part where that music starts to change. All right? I'm not playing with the music here tonight. We're just playing straight in. Because you need to hear this and hear it well. You were a spirit being before you were ever a human body. Okay? There are passages in Scripture that says that a lot of Christians use this, say, well, the reason that you can't kill babies during abortion and whatnot is because God says, I knew you before you were ever born, right? So let's just start with that statement right there. He said, I knew you before you were ever born. Well, how's that possible? He had to have known you then. We cannot just disappear. Exactly. No, you have an eternal state as a spiritual being. And I'm going to talk about why we're here. This is why we're here. Okay? I'm about to blow your mind. Get ready. So, during the time of Ezekiel and in Genesis, both of those two books, by the way, talk about a couple of groups of people. And you guys can go study these on your own. Okay? But here are the highlight reels that you need to know about. Okay? Sons of God. And how about some orange here? Some yellow. Angels. If anybody tells you these two are the same, they're wrong. Okay? So just start right there. There's the argument. Okay? Some people will say that these two were the same. Did we choose to come here? We did not. I'm going to tell you tonight why you're here. Why you were forced here. Yes, my ladies and gentlemen, you were forced here. Your spirit was forced here to go through a flesh and blood experience, and I'm going to tell you why tonight, in the next 15 minutes. The sons of God, and there were angels, two different sets of components. Okay? Everybody know this term? Who's Lucifer? You guys tell me who Lucifer was. In the Ezekiel time. Pop quiz. Start typing out some facts about Lucifer. We're going to dig into this. Who was Lucifer in all this? Okay, we might want to put the, maybe the horns on this guy. Okay? So we got Lucifer over here, you know, that we look at, you know, well, now he's the devil. Okay, but who was he before he was the devil? He was actually a beautiful, beautiful angel. This was an angelic creature, by all accounts, the most beautiful, and had apparently the gift of music. Yes, Matt hit it. The angel of music. It said that whatever it is, in his chest, it said that in his chest, and you know, think about like, you know, the chords that are in our throat, whatever, however he created music that came out of him was like, you know, everybody's like, oh, it's so angelic. This music is so angelic, right? He was the most beautiful angel and was gifted, basically the highest of all angels, was given the highest rank above angels. Okay, that's this group. Okay. Now, he was obviously admired by a lot of the angels, you know, looked up to, if you will. He had high rank. Okay, he was the lead dog. But the sons of God also looked up to him. This is a different group, okay, but they are still spirit beings. This is all you need to know about these two groups over here. Okay? Spirit beings with God. This guy just happened to be the head of these. Got it so far? All right, nobody's lost by that part. But in the book of Ezekiel, you can go back and look at the battle. One day, Lucifer decided he had been adored by so many. He was a creation, because somebody asked this earlier tonight, okay? But he was a creation. He was not a creator, okay? But God gifted him with wisdom. He would pour out to him. I'm sure that he was like besties with God. He was like right-hand man to him, okay? Like, yo, Lucifer, what's up, dude? How's it going? Hanging out. Oh, sing me some jams. Let's... What? And then, you know, they're probably jamming out. And he's like, yeah, this is cool. They were hanging out. So God was like, yo, you're my homie. Let's talk. Let me pour out to you everything. So Lucifer is just absorbing everything God can teach him. Basically a mentor to him. Okay? Lucifer starts to get a big head. He's like, yo, I know what God knows. God's told me everything. I mean, everything I ever asked him. Like, now I know how stuff works. I know how things are created. I know how planets work. I know how things align. At this point, maybe planets didn't exist. We'll get into that later. But yes, he was an archangel of sorts. I'm not sure if he was actual archangel, because archangel has a specific meaning, but somebody double check me on that one, if Lucifer was an archangel or not. But he was definitely top dog angel, whatever that was. Like, I don't know if there's archangels here, and he's like over archangels. Basically the angel of all angels, right? Kind of like number 2 in command with God, right? Now, somewhere in there you also have Jesus, the big J, okay? And you have the Holy Spirit, which, now here's where all kinds of debates go, and I'm not going to go into that here tonight, because that's not the important part. We'll get back to that later. But just know that these are the main components in Ezekiel, because this is where it all started. Why you are here on earth comes right now. Are you ready? Lucifer decides, once he knows all the stuff that he knows about God, he goes about and starts to do things, interestingly enough, like some of my own old, I want to say right-hand people, but some people in our room specifically, who are like, you know what, I know what Vinny knows. I'm going to go and I'm going to start trying to disseminate my own information to the crew, right? You guys know who I'm talking about. We've had a few of those, right? So I kind of feel like I've got this little bit of a connection on how this all went down, okay? But Lucifer gets a little bit of a big head. Now, Lucifer doesn't know what he doesn't know, okay? God's still God, and I'm sure there are some things, but he wanted to pour out everything to him, right? I've had people who I have wanted to pour out everything to, but I have to hesitate because I've learned my lesson, that they are going to backstab you. I'm your Lucifer? All right. Yikes. Sorry, Matthias. But he's hanging out and he knows everything. Well, he gets a big head. He's like, I'm going to start disseminating information to the sons of God and angels, and I'm going to use their adoration of me to get them to stop worshiping God. I want them to start worshiping me a bit more. Now, mind you, there was probably some amount of adoration, but I believe that Lucifer got to a point where he wanted all the accolades and all of the worship that God was receiving. I believe that is what occurred, because why else? I would have to imagine what happened next. Lucifer decides that you're going to learn in the book of Ezekiel, he decides that he's got enough of these people convinced. He's like, yo, what's up, guys? Listen, I mean, I know y'all think God's cool and everything, but watch what I can do. Because apparently he could sing the lights out, right? So he might have been more entertaining, more jazzy jazz, whatever he was doing, but he convinced a whole lot of these suckers to join him, okay? Lucifer helps solve crimes today? Is that what it is? Okay, now, you guys following this so far? So now, let's go to the next slide piece here, okay? So, up top, now, oops, let's go red here. Oops, Control Z. Red. Okay, so now, what happened here? Lucifer takes a third of the angels, okay? Now, how many of the sons of God? We don't know. Okay. Now, we know how many of the angels. 1/3. He took a third of the angels. Okay. Now, if you guys have gone and studied the book and know about Angel Michael, Archangel Michael is a badass. Okay. Now, I'm assuming he did not fall. Okay. But a third of these were like, yeah, dude, we're cool. Now, how many of the sons of God went? Because this is what we don't know. This is the mystery component of the Bible. We don't know how many. So Lucifer stole God's trading algo, something like that, exactly. He's like, you know what? I think I got the formula. Yeah, Matthews is like, maybe we'll figure out what that means. It's cool. So Lucifer is like, look, I am just as good as God, and this is what he decided. He says, I am like God. I can do as much as God can do. There's nothing that God can do that I can't do. And hey, by the way, guys, I've got a secret. Okay? I have figured out God's Achilles heel. This is my opinion. Now, this is not in the Bible. This part is not there. But I will tell you what the Bible does say. Let me get through the part the Bible says. The Bible says, in a simple format, that Lucifer took a third of the angels with him, and there became a battle with God versus the other angels, like basically a huge battle, right? Now, what does a battle of spirit realm look like? Who knows? I don't know what their weapons look like. I don't know what's up, but we know that God can create things, and Lucifer, does anybody think, here's my question to people, does anybody think that Lucifer knew he was going to lose? Here's a big question. Think about it. Do you think that Lucifer believed he would lose? I don't think so. But you need to ask yourself this question at some point, because somebody's going to come back and be like, well, you know, God's always going to win. Blah, 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 blah. God always wins. This is what they tell you in the church pews, and they don't ever think about, well, then why are there battles of spiritual realms and whatnot? Like, why doesn't God just snap his fingers and just whoop them all? Okay? Because God created laws, and the laws are there, which he created, which he can obviously bend and break if he wished, right? But there are these paradoxes that people throw in sometimes, and they say things like, well, can God create a rock big enough that he can't pick it up? Because then you'd be like, well, then God can do something he can't do. Or God can't do something, because he cannot create a rock big enough that he can't pick it up. right? This, ooh, we got him, gotcha. Okay, well, technically speaking, that is a gotcha, isn't it? Hey, God, I got one for you. Can you create a rock so big that you can't pick it up? So he either can't create a rock that big, or he can't pick it up, right? Then something he can't do. You get me? Revelation 12:2. And his tail drew the third part of the stars of the heaven and did cast them to the earth. Okay, now you've got components in Revelation as well. Thank you, Mr. Cook. So Ezekiel and Revelation. Again, a lot of these parts combine in the Bible. Ezekiel talking about all the way to the first. Revelation is the reveal of something. And by the way, the revelation is simply a surprise. Did y'all know that? That revelation means a surprise? It is going to be a surprise to people when they figure out what's up. Okay? And it will be revealed. Hence the revelation in Revelation, which is still inside of a mystery, which I'm going to unravel for you some this summer as well. Because I'm going to tell you about the mark of the beast later this summer. And yes, I can tell you exactly what it is. And I'll tell you right now, no newsflash, it's not 666. And by the way, it's not going to be you being chipped. I have figured that out. I used to think it was. And then through divine revelation, we figure out that no, actually it's not that. So stay tuned. It's going to be awesome. But hang with me on why you're here. He didn't choose to lose. Lucifer thought he was going to win. Everybody needs to understand that Lucifer thought he was going to win. Okay? Everybody who believes he thought he was going to win, type me a 1. If you thought that he was going to lose, or he knew he was going to lose, type me a 2. Okay? Because we need to talk about that. You need to believe that Satan was not going into this battle thinking he was going to lose. Romans 8:7-8. The mind governed by the flesh is hostile to God. It does not submit to God's law, nor can it be so. Those who are in the realm of the flesh cannot please God. We are the flesh components of the battle. It's happening right now. Well, yes, but let me tell you about our flesh, okay? Because our flesh is still a spiritual component, and the main component is actually you are spirit in a flesh body. Stars fall to the sky and sights from the sea and blood, and that freaked me out when I read it once. Yeah, crazy stuff. But check this out, okay? Because this is cool stuff. Satan believed he was going to win. Here's why. Here's why. How was Satan... Here's what you need to know. Why... This is what brought me to the answers that I needed to know, folks. Because I had to ask myself this question. If Lucifer's so smart, because again, everybody said like, dude, Lucifer was like brilliant. He was like, you know, second wisest from God himself. He knew it all. God spilled the beans to him, showed him his secrets. Lucifer thought he knew all God's secrets. That's part 1. Okay? Why did Lucifer think he could win against God? This was my question, and this is where we get the answers from. Did he think he could win? Yes. The answer number 1 is yeah, he did. He believed he could win. So now, let's just hypothesize here for a few minutes because we don't really know the answer. But then you have to ask yourself, how? Are you dumb, bro? Are you dumb? He had Algobox. Yeah, exactly. You know what's funny? That's probably AK, right? AK to this day, he's like, oh man, I could beat Algobox. In fact, I think he said funny one time. He said something about how, oh, you know, I'll get Jigsaw and I'll show them. He's like, I'll run both sides. Whatever. Dude, you think you can win? Okay, well, look, that means you got to have something. Well, maybe you figured out how Algobox works, so maybe you think that, you know, whatever. I don't know what his deal is, right? But how? He didn't have the Bible back then and the knowledge we have today. That's what people fail to put in perspective. Okay, Mario, yes, but you know what's interesting is the Bible, though, came out of this right here. This is why I'm going all the way back here. The Bible was not put into place, nor God breathed, nor God designed yet at this point. There was a battle. Here's what happened. So how on earth did he think he was going to win? Well, he had to have a trick. Okay? He had to have a trick up his sleeve. He had to have an ace in the hole. What did he think he had? Okay? What did Lucifer think he had? Okay, so now we get to this part. What was it? So, if he thought he could win against God, yes he did. Well then how? Well, he obviously had to have a trick up his sleeve, right? Everybody following so far? He had to have a trick up his sleeve. So then what was that trick? What was the ace in the hole? How could he get him? You know, it's interesting. Here's what Macro Hedge thought last year. Macro Hedge thought, well, we can't beat Vinny. I mean, we whooped their butt. I mean, okay, I'm going to use some biblical terms here. I'm going to use the word ass. I mean, we whooped their ass last year, okay? Huge beatdown when it came to the trading thing. So they were like, well, how can we beat him? Ah, the seed, ego, interesting. God's ego. Use God's ego against them? Maybe. Macro Hedge thought they could do that. Macro Hedge with me, again, I'm not God, okay, but I'm just going to say my own personal experience. They're like, well, I can't beat him directly. I can't come at him head to head. Nobody's going to go at God head to head. Got to be like, snap, pap. So you got to do something else. Well, here's what I can't protect. The first thing that I said to you guys earlier. Misrecognition of our nature is ignorance. You know what's interesting is I can't protect my family 24/7, can I? I got to sleep sometimes, okay? There's one Achilles heel for me. Okay, I can't be awake 24 hours a day. I can't be at my daughter's school and my son's school and in his room when my daughter's walking home from school, these retards that are threatening my family, talking about cutting my wife's brake lines when she goes to the grocery store. How am I going to be there to protect my wife? So what they do is they can't come at you directly, so they got this ace in the hole. They're like, I know what, let's go after something he cares about. All right, you follow me? So maybe, and again, I don't know the answer to this, but I have a feeling it went something like this. You can't come directly at God. If you have the answer for that, you got thought revelation. It is not in the Bible. That's right. It's not in the Bible. But here's what I'm going to tell you. There are things that lead to it and show you that I'll tell you that I'm right. Watch this. Are you ready? Here we go. So, God can't be beaten directly. So indirectly, what does Satan use? Something God cares about. Something God cares about so much, Satan uses it against him. How do you think God felt when he figured out the fight is over our souls? Interesting. Yes? Now, let's talk about that. The souls part. Okay? How did God feel when he found out that a third of the angels and the sons of God, that's SOG when I do that, it's just shorthand, SOG. A third of the angels and the sons of God came against him, that they would flip on him, backstab him. Well, I'll tell you how it feels to me. Okay, I had a conversation with this with Tom Dante the other day. He's had some backstabs in his past. You know, I was just sharing with him because he kind of, you know, he knows the background story of everything that was going down and whatnot. He's a brother of mine. So we were talking about that. Man, backstabbing hurts. Man, it sucks. You know, at some point you can go through anger, sadness, you know, all kinds of feelings around it. At some point you got to kind of, you know, it's not like this scenario where it's like, you know, family and whatnot. But it hurts, okay? So how did he feel, right? Number one, I don't think pretty good. I don't think very well. And this little special group right here, this is where the mystery lies. Who were the sons of God? And why were they different from angels? And how many of them were there? If you guys can find those answers in the Bible, come and bring them to me. Okay? But we know that there were legions of angels. We know that some of these were defined by 10,000 each, and there were multiples of them. That's just on the low end. He already knew, but I got your question. He felt hurt, I guess. Yes. But forget the feeling part. How did Satan trick him? How did Satan get him by the cojones? Because the thing is Lucifer had to believe he was going to win. At some point, here's what he did. He caught God in a paradox. What is a paradox? I kind of defined it earlier. Example of that is, can you create a rock too big that you can't pick it up? Okay? Some other kind. Anybody? Okay. How many of you guys have seen the Marvel series with oh shoot, I'm just going blank on it. Who's the guy who can control time in the Marvel superhero characters? Doctor Strange. Okay, and if you haven't seen it this weekend, this is your assignment, because this is going to give you a sort of a, when man tried to put it to movie, what it would be like. How would you trick a god into doing something for you if God didn't want to do it? How would you make God do something? Well, Doctor Strange, you know, smart guy, whatever, figured out how he could catch him. Yeah, Doctor Strange, exactly. So you guys, type me a 1 if you saw it, 2 if you didn't, and it's your homework assignment this weekend because I'm going to talk about a scene in that movie where Doctor Strange tricked a god, caught him in a paradox of sorts. Because Doctor Strange had this little time controller deal. You guys will check the scene. I'm not going to ruin it for people who haven't seen it, but just know this. There was a moment in there where he tricks the god, okay? It's like, dude, what's Doctor Strange going to do against this god figure in the movie, okay? Oh, you didn't see it, Mr. B? All right, assignment for you guys this weekend. You're going to need to see this. It's biblical proportions. You need to see this, okay? And there's a scene in there that you'll know. I won't ruin the whole movie, right, by this, but this one little scene, you're going to know what I'm talking about. When Doctor Strange basically encounters the god and basically goes, the only way to solve this stuff that was going on at that time, he was going to have to convince the god to do something about it. And the god was like, ha, 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 I ain't doing squat. And he's like, you're no one. Yeah, the whole stone thing, right? He had one of the stones. He had an infinity stone. And he could control time. That was his thing. Well, he set this little dial on his wrist, and it was basically like every time he died, time would reset. It's like Groundhog Day. He caught the god in a Groundhog Day scenario, and the god was like, dude, I do not want in this. He's like, whatever, get me out of this. Fine, I'll give you what you want, okay? Because that's how Doctor Strange conned the god into doing his bidding through a conundrum of sorts. In a scenario that he's like, dude, well, okay, you got me here, all right? You got me. I gave you the Infinity Stone was something that guy could control, all this other kind of stuff. But he wasn't supposed to have the Infinity Stone, but he got it, right? He shared it with him. It's like, here's what God did. God shared with Lucifer something like an Infinity Stone of some sort that was the ability to either, maybe it was a control time thing. Maybe it was control life and death over the sons of God. Here's where we go, folks. The sons of God. This is you. Here we go. Are you ready? This is you, right here. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, we's about to get deep. This is you. You want to know who you are? I'm about to tell you who you are. You. This is why what I'm going to tell you tonight matters. You made a decision in Ezekiel that you are completely unaware of right now in your current consciousness. Speaking to the people who are talking about consciousness, you are a son or daughter of God. Again, I'm not going to talk about sons versus daughters, male and female, where that all came from right now, but I'm fairly certain that daughters did not exist, but I'm just going to leave that there for another day, so just hang with me. Yeah, you. Don't care if you're saved or not, doesn't matter. You were a son of God. But if in Ezekiel you were one who chose, you were given a choice in the book of Ezekiel to choose good or evil. Now, at the time, you may or may not have known what that was, right? But it was really, you chose Lucifer or you chose God as your being to worship, which is, how do we know that Lucifer wanted to be worshipped? Well, that's what he asked Jesus to do, for crying out loud, when he was in the desert, right? Everybody know that? In the desert, when Satan came to him to tempt him, he said, just bow to me and I will give you everything, right? So, you had to choose. Some of you who I'm speaking to right now, who are going to hear this video in the future or hearing it right now, some of you chose Lucifer. And that's why we are also creator. We are not creator, but hang with me, I can prove that out. Who did you choose? He did not give us the ability to create. Now, maybe in our spiritual realm, we'll find out. Maybe we could back then. I believe Satan thought that he figured out a way that he could, or he figured out how God did, which is why, because originally he was a creation, but he maybe was able to figure out how to become a creator. God spoke things into existence using sound, however he does that cool stuff. I always wondered why we were created in God's likeness. Does he look like us, a man, a woman? Exactly. Yeah, he says that we were created in God's image, right? Doesn't that make sense? You're going to be sons of God. But the thing is who did you choose? Did you choose Lucifer or God? Now let me explain something. Do you remember what I said a minute ago? Do you think God was pissed? When he found out that Satan and a third of the angels, I hope I didn't choose the bad guy. I don't think so. I'm going to talk to you about tonight. How you're going to know if you did or you didn't. Hang tight. This is why it matters, folks. Do you think God was pissed about all these people turning against him? I, for one, believe he was. I know what it feels like to have been backstabbed in the deepest of ways, right? I've been divorced, okay? My first wife, she cheated on me 3 times. I forgave her once. I forgave her twice. When it came and it happened a 3rd time, look, you have a mental problem, woman. And you're, quite frankly, you're an evil whore. There we go. And there you I said it. I think it didn't choose Lucifer. Generally, I always try to see the good things. Yeah, maybe you didn't. But here's what's going to matter. Okay? Which one did you choose? And I'll tell you right now, you don't know. You don't know, right? You can dig into your mind and you can ask yourself, well, did I choose this one or did not? But you know what? Did you know that God knows some who did and some who did not? This is where it gets crazy. Are you ready? Are you ready? Thanks, tomorrow. Yeah, I mean, she's a whore, but hey, dude, I dodged a bullet. I don't even think I dodged a bullet. I dodged like a cannonball. Like, I've seen her pictures now. You know, she's pushing 250, 300 pounds now. Whatever. I mean, my wife is gorgeous, all right? And she's amazing, and she's awesome. Would never have to worry about that with my current wife, but ex-wife, first one, you know, that was part on me. I didn't lead well in our relationship and whatnot. I take responsibility for my parts in it. But you can't stop whoredom. I'm just saying. I promise. It didn't matter. Like, I was a good dude. I was not. In fact, back then, I was actually a nice guy. Go back and watch my videos in 2016. I was a nice guy. But nice guys finish last. That's a whole nother conversation. And I can get into my dating advice someday if you like. But no, nice guys do finish last. And at some point, that's just how women are designed. And that's a whole nother game. Here we go. So, yes, the answer is yes, he was. So here's the thing. All these people who say stuff like, God would never do that because he's a loving God. And man, do you guys, if you've read any part of the Bible, you guys seen when what happened when God was pissed, right? I mean, go into the Bible. There are all kinds of spots and reasons. He is a righteous God and he has righteous anger. And you do not want to mess up, all right? You do not want to be on the short end of that stick. And so when people are like, oh, you know, if you're just a good person, God's going to let you in, blah, 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 blah. Here's what's up. If back then, at that moment where you had a choice to choose him, and now who knows what Lucifer promised them. Maybe Lucifer promised them, you know, hey, I'll make you, you know, an angelic being that can sing like me. Who knows what he gave them, okay? Who knows what his convincing was? But if you chose and were like, you know what? I do want that. And you went with him. Guess what, ladies and gents? Fire and brimstone. You want to go read up about hell? You want to know what it's for? It's for the people who chose. Now, why are we here on earth? Why didn't God just go, boom, send you down? Because here's the conundrum. Lucifer caught God in a conundrum of sorts. He caught him in an infinite loop. Okay, if you go watch that movie, you'll understand a little bit more about it. But God could not just snap his fingers and win that battle without losing probably everything. Okay, let's just say that it went like this. Okay, Vinny, if you know, I don't know, there was something that happened, but it's like they take your daughter captive, right? I can't even imagine like thinking about those. We've all seen movies where, you know, that kind of stuff happens, right? Hostage situation. But let's say that it was. You know, I don't know if it's that or not. But Lucifer somehow caught them and held hostage. Who knows? Wiped their memories, did whatever to the sons of God. Remember, these are the people, these are the special ones. Maybe these were given free will back then as well. We don't know. Used to call you Lucifer. Interesting. Okay? What was the infinite loop? We don't know. If somebody can figure that out, look, there's lots of theories around that, in my opinion. Okay? Go watch the one from Doctor Strange, how he caught him in that infinite loop. Maybe that's what Lucifer did. It was like, well, you can't break out of this, can't break out of this. God figured out a way, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to tell you how. Okay? You guys following so far? Basically, if you chose this, God's going to wreck you. Do you understand? If you chose here, okay, you are wrecked. There's only one thing that can save your ass. One thing. Only one thing is going to save your ass. I'll give it like this. There are some people, even AK, if he came and apologized for what he did to my family, for what he did during the contest, for all of the lies and the BS that he told, and asked me for forgiveness, you know what? I would accept his apology, and I would bring him back under my wing. I cared about him, believe it or not. I spent my time with him, and he burnt me. It hurt. So yeah, I mean, I troll him and talk about how stupid he is. And, well, I mean, it's what it is. I'm not God. Okay, I'm not perfect. First name is Lou. Yeah, I kind of figured that tomorrow. Analytical trading. Still waiting for the empirical data from your live account showing that Algobox is statistical edge. Look, here's the jackass that shows up right now. There's AK right now. Ironically, the guy is so obsessed with me. He still comes back. He comes in here and listens to the stupid, talks about stupid shit. The empirical data. He shills for child molesters. Stephen Moust. Dr. Hanley, who promotes his wife's room, doesn't tell you it's his wife's room. Bob Amico, who is an ex-convict, who is also scamming people. But you know what, AK, if that's how you want to live your life, the beautiful thing about being able to live life is you can choose to be who you are, but you are wrecked. Okay. Didn't know you were here, but how to be talking about you because you did an ultimate backstab, and I know how it felt, and I know how God feels about people who do an ultimate backstabbing. And you'll burn in hell if it was up to me when it comes to what you did and you didn't ask for forgiveness. You know, dude, hey, see ya. Right? And that's the same thing God is going to say. I'm telling you, folks. This applies to everyone here. Why it matters. You're wrecked. Only one way is to ask for forgiveness and accept the gift offering. In the same way that I offer the gift to AK, that if he would apologize and change and turn from his evil ways and his lies and his scheming and his scamming and him coming into our room trying to offer you mentorship services when he can't trade worth a lick, lying about everything he could possibly lie about because he doesn't like me, because he was mentally wrecked by me, which is no surprise. Do you really think you're on my level mentally? You're like Lucifer kind of coming at God. You got nothing. It's not possible. And you're mad about it. It's okay. But at the end of the day, back full circle, what's up with the whole God scenario? The sons of God, you had to choose, ladies and gents. Which side did you choose? You don't know. But here's what happened. Because God was caught in this paradox that we don't really know what it was, but Satan thought that this was like his infinity glove or stone, whatever. He thought he knew. He thought he had him. He's like, ah, ha, ha, I got him. Kind of like AK. He's always like, oh, I got him now. AK comes up with like the worst gotchas. Now he's just down to outright lies and like cutting off parts of conversations and only putting the parts that are, relevant to his narrative, and the ones that don't apply to his narrative, he just cut out. You're just sick. You're disgusting. But on that paradox, there are two sides. God got caught. So here's what God did. In a moment, he snapped his fingers, and here's what happened. Boom! Lights out. Think about Men in Black, right? Another movie, if you don't know. How many of you guys have seen Men in Black? MIB. Here comes the Men in Black. Right? Men in Black. How many of you guys have seen that movie? Type of 1, 2 if you haven't. And what matters about this movie was the flash thing, right? Memory flash. Memory flash. None of you remember your conversations with God, do you? Not one. Not one person. I'm not talking about the ones that you heard in your dream or whatever, the people that you're hearing now. But I'm talking about your memory from when you were a son of God, pre-creation, or pre getting wound into the marrow of your bones inside the womb of your mother, you do not remember one moment before you were bound into your mother's womb. Okay? You have no memory whatsoever. You were memory wiped before you came here on earth. Now, your spirit, though, is still there. Your ultimate spirit still exists. And somebody said it earlier, your spirit cannot die and will not disappear. It is eternal. The spirit component of you is eternal, and you will spend your eternity somewhere. Okay? Now, you don't remember any of this part, but God remembers you. He talks about it in the scripture. He says that I knew you before you were born, before I knit you into the marrow of your bones inside the womb of your mother. And there's a passage also says in scripture, it says, in the same way that you don't understand, he's talking about how big God is. He's like, I am so big, you don't understand any of this. He's like, in the same way you don't understand my ways, and you don't understand how I bound your spirit into the marrow. Think about what the marrow is in your blood, in your bones. The bones have marrow. Marrow creates white blood cells. Creates blood cells in general. All of your blood cells come from that marrow, interestingly enough. But why does God talk about that specifically? Because life is in the blood. That's coming out of Leviticus. Leviticus talks about it 2 times. In fact, did you know that you cannot kill someone without doing something to their blood? And he says that life is in the blood. Therefore, if there is no blood, there is no life. So those of you guys who still believe that life begins at conception when the sperm and an egg come together, I'm sorry, but ladies and gentlemen, you are wrong. Without blood, there is no life. From the same God that you say you worship, for the same people who say that you cannot have contraception, that you cannot have a morning after pill if you were raped, the same people who say that, no, life begins at conception. As soon as the sperm and an egg come together, you don't know science. There is no blood in that zygote, and therefore there is no life. So stop saying that people are committing murder when they are within the first several days of conception. Get out of here with that weak sauce, ladies and gentlemen. Any other questions, Christians who want to come at me, talk about it? You're wrong, okay? I can prove it to you from your own book. Leviticus says it not once, but twice. And he says all the important things that are about blood. Without blood, you cannot have life. I can't even take away your life without doing something to your blood. So stop arguing me about it. You lose. Now, back to the spirit. Your spirit was wound into the marrow before the blood showed up. Or the actual thing that creates the blood. Maybe at the same time. We don't know. Only he knows, because he says, in the same way you don't understand how I wind, and he uses the word wind or sew, depending on how you interpret the Aramaic, into the marrow of your bones in the womb of your mother, so you don't understand the ways of God. So we can't understand his ways. So the stuff that I'm telling you even right now, it's not like we can just fully understand it, but he unravels the mystery for those of us who diligently seek it. He says, those who diligently seek it will find it. But the answer to why you are here, ladies and gentlemen, is to answer one question. Are you with him or are you not? If you are not with him, you are wrecked, and you will spend eternity in hell with the retards who chose... I'm terrible at drawing flames. Who chose Lucifer? That's the answer. You're either on this side or you're on this side. Now, if you messed up, you have an opportunity to ask for forgiveness. You know what's interesting, though? There's a passage. Do you realize that these people that have this conundrum where they're like, oh, I don't understand. God says that he knew you before you were born, so he knows your spirit. He knows if you chose or you didn't. What about, are you kidding me? Do you think that God knew every person who chose him and who did not back then? You're like, oh, well, God was all knowing. He was all this and that. Well, you forgot about the paradox thing. There was something in and amidst that. How did a third of the angels start converting before God knew about it? You don't think stuff was going on behind his back? No, there was. There are some things, believe it or not, all these people who say that God knows all things. Well, at that point, he specifically chose not to know all. But these people rose up against him. What? Why wouldn't he have just stopped it then, right? Because here's the thing. I don't know. You're like, oh, well, it's because he designed all this and he wanted his son to die and blah, blah. Okay, sure. You can get super Bible scholar with it if you want, but I'll just tell you, that doesn't make any sense. If the Bible tells you this is how it went, this is what's up. Turn you with the idiots rioting right now. Well, yeah. You don't want to spend time with them. But you know what's interesting is God did know some of them, right? Look, the people who are on the front lines, don't you realize God knew exactly who they were? He's like, oh, I see him. That guy, that guy, that guy, that guy, that guy. Josh, Ryan, James, Joey, Jimmy, Sam, Ayana, Rihanna, Yo Mama, okay? All those people, he saw them coming on the front lines. Yeah, sure, I got all those. Guess what he did to them? Guess what he did to them, folks? You ever notice that there's some like really evil people? It's like they're just evil, right? It's like they were born bad. You ever seen those people? That's them. Okay, the ones who are on the front lines being like, yeah, we got him, we're gonna beat him, okay. Then you got the ones who are just like, the back people. Like even in these riots that are going on right now, you got the people who are out there like smashing windows, and then you got the other people who are just like, oh, I'm just an opportunist. I'm just here to rob. I'll do something bad if I have to, but I'd really rather not. But I'm with you guys because I want to be cool. Okay, that's the guy who's riding the pine. Okay, there's a lot of riding the pine people, and there are people who God didn't see. So here's the ultimate answer, folks. Satan was like, ha ha ha, you don't know which ones chose you and which ones chose me. That, I believe, is the ultimate paradox. He didn't know who chose, so here's what he did. It's test time. Test time. Uh-oh. Test time. He said, I am going to put them through a blood test. I'm going to wipe their minds. I'm going to put them through this physical life that we have right now. Your spirit was sent here to earth. And of course, you go in the book of Ezekiel and you hear how he cast down the third of the angels. He already knew them and whatnot. But the sons of God, you notice that he didn't say anything about the sons of God in Ezekiel? I mean, they did. They were talking about it. But he didn't say what he did to them. That's because he can't reveal that to you. Because if you knew what I'm about to tell you right now, then you would know the truth and you would not be so stupid choosing the side that you're choosing right now, running your own life, thinking that you're going to be okay because you're like, I do most things good. I'll get in, I don't know if I believe in heaven or hell, but, yeah, I'm a good person, so, we'll just see how the cards lie. Well, you're probably on that side that was flippy-floppy, and God's not with it. He says in Revelation, he says, if you are lukewarm, I will spit you out of my mouth. Now you know why we're here. To show who we chose. Tomorrow, just nailed it. He just nailed it right there, folks. Send him get it up, ladies and gents. You should be really excited right now because the information I just gave you right now will completely set you free. You can now choose right now, because this is your only time to choose, while you are in this flesh and blood. That is the only reason you are here. But there's a second part, because people are like, oh, well, here's my problem with Christians. Okay, Christians are like, okay, yep, I believe Jesus died on the cross. I accepted his blood sacrifice, which covers my sins and how I messed up and how I chose Lucifer when I was supposed to choose God. I accept that gift. Ding! I'm in heaven. Hand me my gift, right? I'm here. And I got my little bow. Boop, I got my gift. Thank you. I'll accept my free gift because, I like free stuff. And you know what? I don't want to go to hell. Okay, well, that's semi-smart. Here's the problem with those people. Now, number one, I want to make sure everybody understands there were two sides to choose, and if you backstabbed God, you're wrecked. Understand? Hell, damnation, you get to hang out with all the turds, rest of your life, burn up. I mean, I can't imagine you ever felt a flame before. It hurts. You're going to feel that the rest of your life, the entire eternity after you die. When you close your eyes like Mr. Floyd did just the other night, it could be minutes from now. You could have a heart attack, you could get COVID-19 and wind up in the hospital on a respirator. Supposedly, if CNN isn't, faking all that too. But you could die tomorrow. The question is, when you get there and look him in the face and he's like, well, you chose the other side. Sorry. I gave you the opportunity to choose Jesus and you rejected him. That was my final straw for you. See ya. You're like, but wait a minute. I was a good person. You didn't understand the words that came out of my mouth. Back when you chose Lucifer, you were on that side. You chose back then. You're going to be like, oh, crap. Because I have a feeling there's going to be a moment in time when you get on the other side that you're going to have that eureka moment and you're going to be gifted back with the information that you did not have before, and that gift of knowledge that you wish you knew right now. You're going to know which side you chose. And the way that you live your life right now tells everything. Anybody know this verse? Oh, come on. You shall know them, what? By their fruits. How you live right now determines. We can tell, ladies and gentlemen. I can tell. I have people who come in our room all the time. I got good dudes like Davamite. I got good dudes like Raylan. I got good dudes up in this room like CG. There are people who are going to choose right over wrong almost every time. And then there are the people who ride the fence. Then there are the people who are on the other side. Then there are the people who will backstab you and flip-flop like AK, like in a heartbeat. Those people are in extreme danger. And they better shape up and change their heart. And I actually hope that they do. How you live right now, you will know them by their fruits. I don't know if I can draw a good apple. There we go. There's my apple. Okay? You know them by their fruits. Now listen, you can choose the gift. You can choose to be on the other side, but look, and you're like, okay, well now I choose it, now I can do whatever I want, right? Nah, one more step. Ladies and gentlemen, I teach you in this room how to make money trading, right? Yes. So, we can gain a lot of treasures here on earth, but there is a passage. He wants you to be rich in heaven. Do you? Here we go. Here's the question. Everybody in here wants to be rich. I know that. You guys are here hanging out with me because you want to make money. And quite frankly, even if you don't want to be rich, you want to have a richness of life. Do you not? You want freedom of your time. Maybe trading gives you freedom of your time so that you can have an amazing life and live life the way that you want to live, right? You get it? What's up, Simon? Welcome aboard. You definitely want to roll back and check this one out later. We have to afford those. Really need help. Yes, this is a good one. I'm going to get to this one here in a minute. I want to be able to afford to help those who need help. This is one of my favorite things to do. Want to get out of your job. Yeah. But listen, there's a selfish prayer out there. Some people pray and say, Lord, I won't just take care of me and my dog and my stuff. Just me, just my house. I'm not going to pray for anything big. Lord, just take care of me. That is, believe it or not, people think, oh, that's an humble prayer. That is a selfish prayer. Don't matter to those who I can rather serve. Exactly. Amen. What an inspiration was the prodigal son. Been away for a while, but I'm back. God led me to you. Awesome tomorrow. Hey, I've been there. I was a prodigal myself, right? I messed up. All right, I am messed up. Oh, what platform to use? Ninja Trader plus AlgoBox. But if you want to be rich when you die, here's how you do it. There's a passage that also says, mount up for yourselves not treasures on earth where moth and rust destroy and thieves break in and steal. Speaking of thieves breaking in and stealing, have we not seen a lot of that lately? He says, but mount up for yourselves treasures in heaven where neither moth nor rust destroy and thieves do not break in and steal. Well, how do you do that? How do you do that, folks? I'm going to tell you how to be rich here on earth with our system and how we trade. But I want you to also know that there are ways that you can become rich in heaven, because otherwise you might be a street sweeper in heaven. Raise your hand, type a 1 if you want to be a street sweeper in heaven. Now mind you, the streets are made of gold, so it's still not that bad a deal. Okay? But yes, you might wind up a street sweeper in heaven. Now, that's a message you ain't never heard in church. Okay? Now, look, there's nothing wrong with being a janitor, right? I love janitors. I think they serve an absolutely amazing purpose. My wife and I, we have some connections with those, and I'm not trying to badmouth anybody's job here, but I'm just telling you that there are levels. And he says, well, everybody's getting a mansion. No, you're not. No. The good ones And the folks who do the things, who do the works while you're here, are going to have the mansions. You might be in heaven, right? But you might be coming and clean my toilet. You understand? That's heavy. I know. You can argue with me all you want. I can prove it to you. Because there are going to be some people who are poor in heaven. Because there are some people who are going to be rich in heaven. How do we know that? Jesus Christ himself said, to mount up for yourself. There you go. Lay up for yourselves treasures in heaven. Thank you, Matthew 6:20. Thank you for that, Mr. Cook. In heaven, where neither moth. So he says to get treasure up there. How do you do it? It would be an honor to clean God's toilet. There you go. Exactly. It's still not a bad job. Okay. At least you're in heaven. You get to live eternity. At least you're not burning in hell your whole life. All right. But no, there are levels in heaven, folks. You need to understand this. There are levels in heaven. Because people are like, well, once I get to, once I accept Jesus as my Savior and I accept the gift, okay, well, now I get to do whatever I want, right? Okay, well, you could. But then, you're going to be my janitor, God's janitor, whatever. Like, you're going to have a low place. There are going to be kingdoms and regions of things that are going to have to be taken care of. It will be like believe it or not, a socialist environment. There won't be a money exchange in that sort of sense, but at the same time, there will be some form of exchange. 7 levels of heaven divided by 0. I actually don't know how many levels there are. I'd love to see that information, but I know there are because he says to do it. And he's telling us here on earth, because the Bible was written to those of us who are here to read it, to know what we're supposed to do. And why do we do it? It's not a requirement. You don't have to. It's not like a do or don't. But if you do, he's telling you how it can be good for you. I don't have to be rich on earth because my God supply all my needs. There you go. Well, your needs. I'm going to talk about that selfish prayer here in a minute. If you're praying only for your own needs, like Pool Man here, okay, Pool Man, you're going to be real offended now. Okay, you only care about your own needs. I pray that God bless me exceedingly abundantly above all that we ask or think, so that I can be a blessing unto others. Lord, bless me in a major way so that I may be a blessing unto others. You cannot bless if you are not blessed. Do you understand that? The higher you go, the better heaven will be. Yes, interestingly enough, parable of the talents. The parable of the talents, the guy who didn't double his money, what happened to him? God took away his money and gave it to who? He actually gave it to the one with the most, not the one in the middle. He gave it to the one with the most because the one with the most can handle the most. You get it? No, we don't get that because everybody's like, oh, that's not fair. Let's give it to the guy with the little. No, it's not how the kingdom operation works. More is more. Just want to fly and play music. That'll be heaven to me. Exactly. Well, the beautiful thing is you do get that tomorrow. But you might have to fly to go do, some work for some other folks who did the work here. What's wrong with praying for yourself? Be careful. Go back and play back the message. Why I said it. If you are only looking after you, God will not put you in charge of other people. Okay? Because if you only look after you, God is not interested in gaining you ground because you only think about you. So if you only think about you, when it comes to the time in the kingdom of heaven, which you don't understand how that works, but the kingdom of heaven is described by Jesus multiple times. And that kingdom resides and is domain controlled by individuals who care more about others than themselves, which is why it is the golden rule to begin with. Isn't that interesting? Take care of others more than you would take care of yourself. Or at least it says as much as you would care about yourself. The Good Samaritan. Why did Jesus go on to that parable so much? Take care of others. If you are that type of person, this is how you reap rewards and riches in heaven. Otherwise, you will be poor in heaven. Now, if you're like, it doesn't matter if I'm poor. Okay, fine. As long as it's just you and you, look, that's fine. And how you choose to be, God already knows how. Because here's what's interesting. What about the predestination question? Your daily earnings, how much do you invest in a day? Yeah, Lewis, we can get to those questions in a certain, another time. Go watch some other videos for that. Put on the full armor so you can take and stand with devil's schemes. Yep, so we're in battle. Folks, it is a battle of good and evil. You were in it back in Ezekiel, so even if you don't think that it exists right now, I will tell you right now, all the way back to Ezekiel, there was a battle before, and if you messed up in the battle of Ezekiel, you're stuck even right now. This is your one chance to fix it. Our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against rulers, against authorities, against the powers of the darkness of the world, and the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms. Yes. There's a passage that even talks about how the angels had to battle to get to someone just to deliver a message. and it said, oh, sorry, I had to wait for the angel Michael to give me backup because the angel over Persia, the devil, the demons over Persia were too strong for me to overcome. I had to wait for the archangel Michael to come and kick ass with me so I could come and deliver the message to you. There are things going on around us that we don't see or know, but there is a spiritual realm, and you are part of it regardless of whether you believe it or not. Do you have a personal relationship with the true God? I do. That's why I'm here disseminating the message, because I care enough to get it to you so you know the truth, my friend. Yes. But be careful if you're only praying for yourself. That was my message to you. There are few in the pew who are actually going to make it in, and there are a lot in the pew who have no idea. They got their ticket, they think they got their golden ticket into heaven, but he says that there will be many who they turn away. Because God will be like, depart from me, I never knew you. So make sure you did come in contact and you do have that personal relationship, because otherwise, you're going to be wrecked. Okay, so tonight, you understand, here is the short answer of all of this. You are a spiritual being, number one. Okay? You are a spirit being. You were wound into the flesh. You were sent here because you are going through a test. Let me put this in a big thing. You are going through a test, ladies and gentlemen. Regardless of whether you believe it or not, doesn't matter. You are in a test. Will you pass or fail? Number one, there is a pass-fail. But even when you pass, your works determine what level you are in the kingdom. Understand? Pretty simple. Pass, fail. Number one. If you deny it, it doesn't matter. That means you chose Lucifer and God's pissed off at you. Regardless of whether you think it is or, oh no, God's not going to be pissed off at me. No, yeah, he is. If you chose Lucifer back when you backstabbed him, let me explain to you. You guys who know me have been around when you guys have heard the backstabbing stories that have happened to me. And you guys know how pissed I am about the backstabs. Will you give an altar call tonight? Sure, I don't have an altar though. But see, you're still stuck in religion, my friend. This is religion. This is about relationship. There are two R's, R&R, retail run. There is also relationship and religion. Right? Not an altar call, but I am going to, yes, give you the opportunity to pass fail here tonight. If you understand that you are a spiritual being, that you know that if you were Mr. Floyd yesterday and your life got choked out of you, and if you don't know, at least now, look, you are, Paul said this in the scripture. He says, look, you were not responsible for what you didn't know. But you are responsible for it once you do. Tonight, whether it's good or whether it's bad, ladies and gentlemen, I have given you the truth. The truth shall set you free. Whether you choose to decide to take it or not, I told you before, and even when you're my crew, to me, does it matter or not? It doesn't. It's not going to affect me directly. I want the best for you. If you guys don't know that, those of you guys who are my crew, you know, I think you do. Even when I yell at you, you know, even when I'm an a-hole, that I do it because I love you, right? I do it because I need you to do the right things in order to succeed in what we do. Whatsoever we do it with thy might, and that's a big deal, right? But you were in a battle before you knew you were in a battle. In Ezekiel, that's what you need to know. Your spirit was passed through here into your mother. God knew you before he sent you here. But there's a passage. I want to get to this predetermination thing. This will be for the people in the pew, like Mr. Poolman, okay, that have been in the church for a long time. And he's got these things like, well, God says predestination. He's like, he basically says, I know who is going to choose me. Actually, he doesn't say all, but he says, some of you I have called in advance. Okay, special calling. Let's talk about the special calling people. I should have talked about these earlier. There were some people in that battle that God knew exactly whose side they were on, right? These are the special calling people, by the way. Okay? You ever notice like there's some people that are just like, you know, man, these people are just good people, okay? Inherently good. Special calling. You were predestined, right? He talks about the predestination component. Well, how does that work? Well, it's because, remember, in that divide, in that war, there were two sides. Some chose Lucifer, some chose God. God knew a lot of them who were battling on his side, but there were some that were like in the shadows and hidden off, didn't know. God didn't know. So what he had to do, though, because of the paradox that he was caught in, he had to brain wipe all of them and send them here on earth to put us through a blank test. We are now going through a blanket test to see if we will choose Lucifer or God. And look, if you go on Twitter right now, there are many, many people who are just angry at God, who are just, vehement against him, who are just atheists. It doesn't matter that they've heard it, they've heard the message, they've heard it, just don't believe. Look, some of those people have already chosen. They chose before they got here. And this actually answers this passage for me that also was very, to me, like disrupting to my mind. There was a passage that said, some were sent here to burn. Listen to this. This is a dangerous passage to me. I didn't understand this a long time ago. How could the benevolent God, the drill in church, how could he send some people here to burn? Well, now we know the answer, don't we? He knew some people who were right over there, the sons of God, who were on the other side of the fence, who were riding with the third of the angels. He had the sons of God. He saw their faces, and they looked at God in his face, and they basically gave him the middle finger. And God said, okay. Well, everyone has to go through this earth test. Do you understand that? Everyone must come through this earth test, must be passed through flesh and blood. There must be a blood component, and that is why blood sacrifice matters. Don't even get me into that whole thing. AK, he studied the Jewish faith and understands a little bit about that. But he's still lost as a duck right now. If he doesn't change at some point, whether he changes tonight, I hope so. Maybe at some point. I hope at least somebody reaches to him. But if he doesn't, it's okay. Some people were sent here, ladies and gentlemen, church pew wetters, nipple suckers, milk duds, those of you guys who can only take the milk, you can't handle the meat of the Bible, the hard parts, the tough parts, grow up. Come talk to daddy. But some were sent to simply be kindling on the fires of hell. And I couldn't rectify that, but now I understand why. It's like AK for me, okay? Look, I'll look you right in the eye. You backstabbed me. You lie about me every day. You know the truth and you deny it. You can burn in hell, right? Isn't that how you feel? Sometimes when somebody stabs you in the back, that's how you feel. Well, guess what? That's God. And some of these people he sent here, passed them through blood, and all they're going to do is be fire on the kindling, be coals in the fire. That's what he says. Now, I had a hard time with that passage, but now I understand why. You get it? Do you see how, like we just brought all the pieces together. Just fell into place right there. Boom. Now, all that all happened before Genesis. So we'll leave all the rest for another night. But tonight, you need to know that there were two sides you need to choose. And now, I am going to give you the opportunity to make that choice tonight if you want to, because it would be crazy of me not to give you the chance to have freedom. Ultimate freedom. Not only can you trade with us, not only can you rock it out with us, have riches here on earth, but if you want riches in heaven, if you care about where you go, if you were Floyd yesterday and died, and your spirit now left your flesh, where is your spirit going to go? Are you going to risk burning in hell for eternity, or be in the kingdom with me and the rest of the sons of God? There was a moment in time when Jesus said, once you accept my gift, you allow my blood to cover your sin. I gave myself for you. And mind you, let me go all the way back. Do you remember how angry people were? How people are so fired up because Floyd was killed? This man, Jesus himself, didn't just die with a knee on his neck. And I'm not going to say like that is a horrible way to die. I was sitting there like, I watched that video, 8 minutes of it. It pisses me off. That's why I'm having this conversation right now. But I watched, you want to talk about another movie you need to go see? Go see Mel Gibson's Passion of the Christ. Watch what he did for you. He didn't have to, but he provided a way for you and me so that that paradox that Satan caught us in convinced us to follow him instead of the real him, convinced us that Lucifer was the one. Follow me. You follow him, you're fucked. Pardon my French, but that's what it is. You are. It's just a fact. Just a fact. And if you're cool with that, look, you might have already, you might already be there. Okay, I'm talking to some people, just, that's you. You're like, well, I'm kindling on the fires, and I'm fine with that. Like, that's dumb. You're also dumb and you're low IQ. And again, I tell people all the time, you're low IQ. If you're too low IQ to be in my room, there are some people who just, that's just you. And that's fine. That is not my responsibility, but it is my responsibility to give you the truth. You can still decide at the end of the day. You can still be an AK retard if you want. Okay? But I'd suggest AK smarten up. Stop being a DK. You guys, if you watch the Dunning-Kruger effect, there is a moment in time where Dunning-Kruger can be fixed. The curve goes a little something like this. Last time when I talked to AK, he was somewhere around here. I hope he gets up here quick. I do. But who are you? Where are you going to be when you die? You're worried about tomorrow. You're worried about what you're going to put in your mouth. You're worried about your trade tomorrow. Good. Good. We'll still do that. We're still going to rock that out. We're still going to kick butt and take names. Davamite, you definitely have a good heart, my friend. That guy right there. Genuine person. Genuine dude. But you got to choose, folks. You are going to have to choose a side. That is an absolute... You have to choose a side. Which side are you going to be on? That, my friends, is up to you. So if you're ready to accept it, I'm going to give it that moment right now. It's pretty simple. Are you ready? Because there's a passage in Scripture that says all you have to do is confess with your mouth. Your mouth. Now, every one of you guys who's in here, I'm pretty sure everybody's got a mouth. Now, I don't understand how God deals with mutes and that kind of thing. In fact, Scripture actually does say, I have a whole philosophy on how that happens. Like, what about the people who are sick? What about the people who can't? Well, I've got information on that, by the way. Okay, so we'll get to that one day. But I know that everybody in here can open their mouth. And he says that if you confess with your mouth and believe in your heart that Jesus Christ is the King, you will be saved. Jesus is the only way to the Father, folks. To fix the divide in which when we chose one side or the other, you must choose Jesus. Now, what's interesting is people are going to be like, well, what about the people in Africa who never hear about Jesus? Listen to me, ladies and gents. Did you know that that's taken care of at the time that they die? Did you know that the people who died before Jesus died, that Jesus went into hell and preached to the people who died before him? Did y'all know that? Jesus, when he died, he said he spent 3 days in hell preaching to those in hell, and he brought back multiple hosts of the captives with him. Isn't that interesting? But I will tell you this, Scripture only guarantees us one thing, that they will have an opportunity to choose. Tonight, if you're listening to my voice, this is your night to choose, and this may be the only opportunity you have to choose, because tomorrow you may die. That is a fact. You might die in one of these riots. You might die from somebody breaking into your house. You might die from driving your car. You might die from COVID-19. You might die lots of different ways that you might die tomorrow. But you would have had the chance. And if you deny it, that's on you. That's on you. But if you choose it, it is an amazing thing. So here's all you have to do with your mouth. You say, I believe Jesus Christ died for my sins, and I want that blood sacrifice to cover my sins. And I want to be a son of God the Father. I want to be a joint heir with Jesus Christ, to be a son of God, because I want to choose his team. I don't like evil. I despise evil. I love good, and I choose good. I do not choose evil, and I am with you, Father. Now, the easiest way to say that is simply this. Dear God, I know that I am a sinner, and I know that I have messed up. And I know now that there is only one way to get to you, and I accept that way. I believe that Jesus died on the cross, that his blood is pure, not as mine, and that it covers my sin. Please come into my heart and guide me the rest of the days I have here on earth. Give me the strength to follow you. Teach me more about you. Guide me so that I may gain treasures in heaven now, because now that I know where I'm going, when I get there, I need to put some treasures into the coffer, because I do not want to spend eternity away and separated from you, where I will burn for eternity with these other turd holes that I see on television, burning down places and kicking people in the teeth while they're laying on the ground. I am not one of those. I am one of those you chose. Please choose me. Use me. Allow me to help others. Bless me with my trading too. In Jesus' name, the most powerful name on earth, I speak these things and I ask and request it in his name. And all of those, you guarantee us in your word that if we call on him, he will not deny us. Thank you for your gift, Father. I accept your gift. Thank you for Jesus. Thank you for the way that he died for me. Thank you for the burden that he took. Thank you for the beatings and the lashes that he took on his back. Please give me wholeness and wellness in my strength, in my health. Because, ladies and gentlemen, there is a benefit. In Scripture it says, forget not all of his many benefits. The benefit to you is also, by the way, physical strength. Did you know that? You want to know why I'm so good looking at 40? I'm just saying. I'm just joking. But the Scripture says that he will renew your flesh. Today is a new day. You get to become a new creature. He says the day that you say this prayer, the day that you accept him, all things become new. Tomorrow you will not be the same. Tomorrow you are a new creature, a whole new person. A new spirit is now born in you. He says, unless you are born again. Nicodemus asked him and said, well, how can I be born again? Can I jump into my mother's womb and come out, again? I don't think so. No, he said, no, you reborn in the Spirit. You are now born into the Spirit. You are no longer just from your mental capacity, flesh and blood. Your spirit component, it's always there anyways. But now your spirit has a good place to go. You are now healed. I speak peace over you. I speak strength over you. Father, guide us this day forward with me and the crew. If you guys have any questions for me, you guys know the number. You can call me. My number's down in the email. Let's go, baby! Are you with me? Are you with me? Let's do this.